go through.
Okay.
There's several things to remember here. Is that the symbology itself should be bright enough so that you can see it clearly and distinctly, but not so bright that it overpowers the real world, because truly we want to see both. Okay, we want to see the real world and we want to see the display. So let me just take a peek at it and see what you did there. Yeah, I do right about the same thing. Yeah, pretty good. Okay. Now, on the actual aircraft, if we're going into some really highly dynamic ambient light changes, like coming out of the weather into bright runway lights, or on takeoff coming out of the murk and breaking out into the sunlight and stuff like that, then this has an ambient light detector on it, and it has also an auto contrast feature that will modulate that brightness for you, okay? But if it doesn't, just reach up and adjust it, just like the way you adjust your head down lighting, you know, same kind of an idea. We've got right now, gear up, flaps 5, probably about 180 knots. So basically, I'll set this up, and you notice that if I change speed here, it changes above the airspeed tape to 180 knots, so it's fully integrated. Everything else is set. I'm going to have the flight directors off for a moment, and we're just going to kind of fly this thing around a little bit. And what I'd like everybody here, let's see, have you flown an airplane with flight path vector before? Like, you know, some Airbus have it, some Boeings have it.
MD-11.
Okay, very good. Okay, well in this case here, the flight path vector is, let me just show you.
What's that?
Okay, I'd like, let's make this first one. Have you been able to look at the display enough? You're getting kind of familiar with it?
That's good.
Okay, that's the velocity vector and the acceleration caret. If you add thrust like this, it goes above the wingtip. And if you did that, and if I pull the thrust back, it'd be below the wingtip.
Right, got it.
Okay, good. Now, so like you and I, when we fly today, sometimes we say, oh, about 3,000 pounds per side or something like that, or some N1, you know. You don't need to do that anymore. You can now read it directly. Okay, so that's important. Okay, you're flying the airplane. I'll give you the full the flight directors. Let's just make a nice normal ILS. Gear down, flaps 30, you're clear to land. Very good. Also see that the ILS is bringing you that velocity vector right down to your touchdown zone. So if you should lose sight of the runway like that, you still got everything right there.
Yeah, all right.
Way back. Very good. Just a little back pressure now. Stay on that guidance cue. It's also giving you lateral commands, so if it's a little bit off to the right, it wants you to get back over toward the center line type stuff. So use your aileron just like you would in a visual landing, you know? Same thing. It's a full manual touchdown. Very good. Now deviate off the center line so you see the relationship between that ground roll symbol and the center line. Here, just go off the center line a minute. There you go. I just want you to see what that looks like. To get back on, you just have to re-straddle. So you just look at that center line symbol and look, you know, you can get right back there real easy. Very good. Okay, 60 thrust again, because we're getting a pretty good speed error. Add some power. There we go. Now just get right back on that guidance cube, you'll be fine. Start the power back. And the guidance cube is way below you now, so let's go ahead and get back on in. And we'll make a nice correction down to the ILS. So just go for the guidance cube with your flight path. Here we go. There you go, right there. Power back. Just put power a little bit below the wingtip now. Thrust is fine. Keep trimming the airplane, just as in normal. Now see, now you're only about 6 knots off. So now as that speed diminishes, just add a little bit of thrust. Raise that acceleration caret right up to the wingtip. Add thrust. Want that speed caret right there. Okay, here comes the flare. Beautiful. Those are beautiful corrections all the way down. Look at that. Wonderful job. Isn't that neat? Okay, now let's say, now I'm going to try to get up onto the guidance cube. But look at the flight. Look up at the angle of attack. Look what it's showing us. It's showing us that we're flying at too high of an alpha, doesn't it?
Okay.
And as a result, we're starting to get the angle of attack limit of stick shaker, which is this little eyebrow looking thing, and that comes into play. Plus, we can see that our pitch attitude is too high, and this whole thing is just kind of an ugly approach, isn't it? So we get a lot of warnings here that in fact we're flying at the wrong angle of attack, maybe the wrong speed. We ought to evaluate it, maybe make a go around. Well, let's say that we still didn't see it. Let's say that we didn't notice our angle of attack was too high, because I'm still pretty much on the localizer and on glide slope. Gas might have screwed up, we might have made a mistake, had the wrong flaps, or whatever. It's not going to let you come on down and either land on the tail skid or screw up that landing. So we've really tried to booby trap this thing as much as we can, so that if we're not flying a nominal stabilized approach, it's going to tell us. In that case, we're in the weather, it's a good idea to go around. And when we made it go around, it just goes back into the normal display. So again, fully integrated. Okay. In the meantime, use that velocity vector and go straight for your touchdown point.
Right.
I can give zeroed out. Perfect. Now you're getting right back up on speed. Now you can keep the caret right in your wingtip now. Perfect. Perfect. Is that not a perfect approach or what? I'll fly with you anytime.
Very good. That's why I'm a first officer.
Perfect job. Look how accurate, very nice. Perfect. Perfect. So it just gives you a lot more information and more precise. You can fly it in the weather or relative to the here's something kind of new now. We're flying the velocity vector and acceleration, but those three symbols, flight path, acceleration and speed error are about all you need to maintain, almost a perfect approach. So if you get a little low on energy like you are right now, add that thrust so that carrot's above the wingtip. Oh, that's plenty. And that'll just ease you right back up. As that speed error gets into the wingtip, ease that power back to about 3 degrees. Yeah, you're right there. Very nice. Because that carrot is potential flight path. And if we potentially want to fly 3 degrees, then as long as it's on the 3 degree line, we know our energy is about right. Glance up an angle of attack, Fabio, and it looks right in the heart. Perfect. Perfect. Your synthetic runway should come into view anytime. There it is.
Yeah.
And again, see that? I mean, even if you can't see outside, you've got really excellent instrument presentation there to really know where you're at relative to that approach. Again, that guidance cue will give pitch and roll commands all the way through the flare, even if you get a little gusty crosswind or whatever. So just try to stay right on it. Yeah, very good.